Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the Dream Huge podcast. Man, super excited for this one today. This is going to be a great topic. Look, folks, we love to share success stories from other huge dreamers, folks in the real estate business, entrepreneurs, movers, shakers, influencers, and more. And hopefully these stories will help to motivate and inspire you to also dream huge. So today we are joined by my co-host, JP for three, top producing agent in the whole Mansfield Association of Realtors at this point, let alone dream huge as well. I don't know how he does it. Someday he'll tell us all his secrets. But thank you, JP. How are you today, sir?
I am doing fabulous. I'm excited to talk with our guest today. We are digging into a topic that we haven't dove into yet on the podcast. So it is a new and fresh topic, and I'm excited to talk with our guest today. So I'm doing tremendous. Pete, how are you doing, my man?
I'm doing outstanding as always. You know the answer to that. Thank you for asking. Michael Arries is our special guest today. Yep. Michael Arries is a senior precious metal advisor. So I think we're going to be talking a little bit about investing in gold and silver, amongst other things, with McIlvaney.com. You can find him online. So Michael, thank you for joining us. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do.
Well, absolutely. Happy to be here, Pete. Thank you for having me on. Thank you for the energy. I like what I do with gold and silver. It's a tangible asset. It has real intrinsic value. So I think for any of your listeners that they're into real estate, it really complements. There's some good advantages that both have. Real estate produces income. Gold and silver are very liquid and very portable, more so than what you get with real estate. So you have strengths from both. But overall, you're owning tangible assets. You're owning something real. And that's one of the big things that we want to do versus having something that's just simply a number on a computer screen, or someone else has to keep their promise for it to have value. You know, if you have a house, if you have a gold coin, it's got value in and of itself for what you can do with it, or what other people will pay for it. And it's real. It's real wealth. And I think we're going to see it transition from fake paper wealth to real wealth over the coming years here. So that's the thing to have.
So a real gold coin is kind of similar to like a real Bitcoin, because I can hold on to that, right? I can stuff it under my mattress if I have to.
If you can reach into the ether and hold a Bitcoin somehow and all the electronic parts in the computer, then you've got more superpowers than anyone else I know.
Yeah, so we're going to dive into that a little bit. Mike, I got to say this, though. It looks like you got an arrow going through your head right now.
Yes, that is
not on purpose.
That is not
the spear.
That's never happened before. This is the first time. That is my mammoth spear. So if we ever come across any woolly mammoths that come out of the ice and they're still alive, then I have a spear for them. So that's my mammoth spear.
That's what you hunt mammoths with. Okay. Good to know if I ever come across one.
Yeah, let me know. I'm ready for it.
All right, so I watched a couple of your videos just to educate myself a little bit. You touched on the three positive things about owning precious metals. Tangible, no counterparty risk, protects against inflation. If you could elaborate on those three a little bit.
Yeah. So again, what we were talking about before is that it's a tangible asset. So it's something you can hold in your hand. Your Bitcoin, you can't hold that. It has value because people use it, but someone can switch to something else, or we could come out with one that uses electricity, and Bitcoin can theoretically go to zero if nobody uses it. So there's nothing there. Whereas with gold, it's been around for 5,000 years and has been used as money for 5,000 years. It's very limited in supply. Everyone around the world recognizes it. So even if you don't speak the same language, if you smile, everyone knows what that is. If you hold up a piece of gold, everyone knows what that is and that it has value. So it's just a universal thing. So as far as being tangible, it's got all the characteristics of money. I guess, JP, the real thing about gold is that it's money. So if you have a dollar bill in your wallet, you say, oh, I have money in my wallet, but you're using the word wrongly. It's not money. It's a currency. It's a devaluing fiat currency that we can exchange for goods. People have to take it in exchange for goods or for debt. But for savings, for money, it doesn't do any good. Gold is something that is durable, limited in supply, fungible. Each one is worth the same thing. You can split it apart and it's all worth, whatever portion of it that there is. And it doesn't degrade. We have all the same gold that was there back in Egypt, it's still around today in some form or another. So that's the one thing that can serve as money. Money has to be a store of value. You have to be able to hold your wealth, your energy that you've created wealth with in something, and then transfer that to someone else. Gold does that. So it's money. That's part of it being tangible. Money has to be something real. And then no counterparty risk means no one else has to do anything. So if you own a stock, someone else has to keep their promise. They have to run the company right. They have to not do something fraudulent and take it into the ground, and then you have zero for your stock. Like that has to not happen if you have a stock. With gold, no one has to do anything. It has value in and of itself. You're not worried about anyone else keeping their promise. It just is what it is. And then inflation protection. I mean, gold's gone up 8 times in price in the last 20 years. So you can sit on cash and prices go up and you lose to inflation, or you can have a variety of things that help with inflation. But gold is one thing where it's small, portable, liquid, easy money to have. And it has maintained its purchasing power. It has gone up in price enough that you haven't lost wealth to inflation by owning gold.
Excellent. 3 great points right there. JP, questions, comments?
Yeah, no, the one thing I was going to say, and believe me, this is something that for me is not familiar. I mean, it's
Yep.
just not. It hasn't been.
It's not for most people.
Right, right. And I love that it's tangible. That's a big thing that I say with real estate a lot. But I also love its tangibility in real estate because I can go and touch it and change the value of it myself rather than, just relying on the market. Like this seems similar with gold and silver, but like you said, no counterparty risk.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're investing into gold and silver, from my standpoint, if I say, okay, I've got $50,000 that's sitting here and I'm going to throw that all into gold and silver, what would be my long-term plan for that? Is it like, okay, I'm putting this money into gold and silver for the next 5 years, the next 10 years? And then when I get to a point of saying, hey, I want to cash out and take this money and put it in my account and either go invest it somewhere else or, make a purchase, what does the process look like to get my funds from the asset at that point?
Yeah. So really, really good question there, JP. There's a lot in there because there is some amount of gold we want to have just all the time long term, because our central bank is constantly printing money and devaluing our currency. So until that stops, and that doesn't stop for over 100 years, we want to have some gold. And then also we're in a bull market right now where rather than it just, you have it and forget about it and pass it down to the next generation. We're in a current acute period where prices are rising and they're catching up to all the money we've printed. They're in a bull market. They're in a growth phase. So there is an investment aspect where we want to get something out of it. We want to take some profits off the table in the near future, but also at the same time, not just get rid of all our gold. We always want to have some. So really, really good question. There's a couple of components there. As far as buying and selling it, you can, I recommend that you have it physically, not just own an ETF or a mining share, but actually have some gold and silver that you physically own. You can hold it yourself at home. If you take delivery of it, you can store it at a reputable depository. But actually owning gold and silver, that is real money that no one else has a claim on and no one else is going to be able to use or get their hands on because you have it, you own it. And with that, if you need to sell it or liquidate it, you can send it back to us. We'll buy it back. You can go to any number of coin shops or precious metals dealers and always liquidate it and get cash for it, whatever the current market price is. So also too, at some point when we want to sell it, when we want to cash out, you'll be able to do that. But I would say with your overall portfolio, have anywhere from 10 to 20% of your wealth in physical precious metals. It's just foundational. It's just the part that will always be there, even if everything else collapses and goes away. That's going to be there and have value and bail you out no matter what. And for now, if that grows and gets to a larger percentage, I think when we hit the end of this bull market, we'll want to reduce our exposure and put those gains into something else, but still always have some. Maybe you always have 10% in gold because our central bank is constantly printing money out of thin air. But at this point, if you see one of my other videos there too, Pete, with what gold has done in the past, it's had several bull markets where we've seen it make an 8 times move several times, multiple examples of that. If now this current bull market we're in, if it makes an 8 times move, it's going to go to $8,000 an ounce. Right now it's at just under $2,500 an ounce. It can still triple in price in this current bull market it's in, whether that's in the next 5 to 10 years or a little more, a little less. So have some for an investment, get the growth out of it, and then keep some that's always just sort of a long-term hedge against whatever happens in the world.
Okay, we got some questions here. All
Oh yeah.
right.
Oh
So
yeah.
can we buy physical metals from you as well as like a metals index fund directly from you?
You can. So mainly at McIlvaney, we focus on having physical precious metals. So I'm going to want you to have a foundation where you actually own tangible coins and bars, whether you take delivery, keep it in a gun safe at home, whether you put it at a depository and pay for a storage account, you own physical metals. Now, we also do wealth management for larger portfolios where you might own mining shares and ETFs, but you got to have that foundational amount in physical metals first. So yes, you want to own it physically, have actual coins and bars that you can hold on to. And it's kind of a mind trip. It's real money. Like when you have some silver coins and you clink them together, it sounds different than the change you might get at the store. Those sound like arcade tokens. And then some silver or gold, when you hear them hit each other, that sounds like real money the way it rings. And you're like, oh, that's why this has been money for 5,000 years.
That's right. That's the sound I hear whenever JP walks by with all them gold chains on, just rattling, making that noise. It's, oh, here comes JP jingling down the hall.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, so what can I buy? What's the common like gold bar size, and what is a gold bar like going for? Not a coin, but the bars that you always see.
Yeah, I mean, generally, I guess as far as categories, just to break things down a little bit, you might have what we call bullion or collectibles. So with bullion, you're going to get bars or coins. It can be in either shape. That's modern. It's just valued for its gold content. It's not rare or collectible. Then on the other hand, you have collectible coins where you might have 100-year-old gold coins back from when we were on a gold standard and people were using it as money. And some of those have survived in good condition. And then, oh, that's a rare collectible piece of history. It's got value for the ounce of gold in it, plus this much more that, collectors will pay for it. So there's those two categories. I tend to say stick with bullion, just get modern stuff where you're paying for the gold in the bar or coin. And to a certain extent, some people can do collectibles if it's something they want to do. But a 1 ounce gold bar or a 1 ounce gold coin from different mints, the spot price that you'll see when you look online is just raw mining supply. Right now, it's $2,460, and generally you're going to pay about $100 over that to actually get a minted coin or bar in your hand. So it's between $2,500 and $2,600 to get an ounce of gold. And 1 ounce, to your question, Pete, a 1 ounce form, 1 troy ounce is the best way to get gold. If you get fractional sized coins, they cost a little more. Silver too. If you have a 1 ounce silver coin, you're going to get a lot more of them for your money because silver is only like $30 an ounce to buy one. So you're going to get a lot more silver coins. But 1 ounce coins are good. You can also get 10 ounce, 100 ounce silver bars that are just big bricks. That's fine for storage, but having it in your possession, having 1 ounce coins is the best, and you'll just get a bigger pile of silver.
Sure. So like a 10-ounce gold bullion would run about 25,000. If you're saying
Correct.
1 ounce is 2,500.
Correct.
So 1
Yeah.
ounce little tiny bar, 10-ounce bar, something like this, about 25,000.
Right. And gold is very dense. So, a 10 ounce bar is actually still a little smaller than your iPhone. It's not very big. Actually,
Wow.
it's smaller than that. Think of like an old flip phone.
Oh.
Yeah. And then that size, an iPhone, that's going to be a kilo bar, a kilogram bar. That's like 32 ounces of gold. So that would be like 80 grand in your hand if you had something the size of your iPhone.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Love
Pretty
it.
crazy.
Percent return, average percent return per year. Let's go with gold because that's kind of the common one here. I know I can go to the stock market, S&P 500 index fund. I can get my 10 to 12% average per year over time. What's gold going to get me on average?
Yeah, so I don't always look at that. It's just something you hold for wealth protection. Depending on the time frame you look at, you can see a 8 to 10% return in gold over the long run. That might be through bull markets and bear markets, but like I said, the last 20 years that we've been in a long-term bull market, it's gone up 8 times in price. It was literally 200. No, it's gone up 10 times in price, Pete. I'm so used to saying 8 times in price because it was $250 an ounce 20 years ago. And for a few years now, it's been hovering around $2,000 an ounce. So I am so used to saying it has gone up 8 times in price. And just since March, gold busted through a ceiling at 2,100, took off. Now it's almost 2,500. So now I have to change to it's gone up 10 times in price in the last 20 years. So I'm trying to update my numbers here because just in the last few months it's changing. So yeah, when you think it's gone up, 10 times in the last 20 years, now that's rough average. Big move up to 2008, dropped in 2008, big move up to 2011, dropped again, and then after 2015, it's been moving up from there. So depending on the time frame you look at, I mean, in the 20-year time frame, gold has outperformed the S&P 500. But if you had bought the S&P at the low in 2009, then it has outperformed. So it kind of depends on when you get in on it too. But holding gold over the long term has not been a bad thing.
So additional questions from that.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, and I'm going to hit you with a couple here. So first of all, how did you get started? How did you get started in this business?
Mm-hmm.
If you're able to tell me, I don't want to get too deep, but if you're able to tell me, what does your portfolio of gold and silver currently look like?
Mm-hmm.
And as well, do you have your money invested in other avenues like we've mentioned, real estate, stocks, whether it's the S&P or your own stocks, or any of the cryptocurrencies? Do you have any other money invested in those, or are you strictly precious metal?
Yeah, good question. I tend to favor the precious metals because I follow them and I know them. So, as far as my story, I grew up around Southwest Colorado. McIlvaney is in Durango, Colorado. So we knew about them. We got their newsletter. We saw some local conferences that they did. So my parents knew about them. We bought gold and silver even back before like Y2K, is just as far as having something that was a safety net asset. And a lot of the stuff that the company's founder was talking about in the newsletter back then came to pass. He was just way ahead of the curve and way early. So like 2008 crisis, he called that. Some people listened and got out of the way ahead of time. Stuff that's happening now, we were talking about way back then. So it's just there's been a lot of foresight there, and even a lot of waiting, saying, "Well, are they right? Were they wrong?" And now it's coming to pass. But known about the company since growing up. Worked in sales for a while, but in 2010 had a chance to come work at McIlvaney and jumped on it and been there ever since 2010. So I like helping folks understand these markets. I guess for me, I've always been into alternative news and really understanding economics and what's going on. So, kind of like if you're listening to the mainstream media, I think you need to unplug from the matrix and you have no idea what's going on. And I like to see behind the curtain and see what's really happening, and then let people know, oh, actually, this is what's going on. So I like following that stuff and then informing people and helping people understand things. And that just goes along with precious metals. It's like, hey, the government is stealing wealth from you through inflation, and it's so subtle most people don't realize it, and they're letting themselves get robbed. How about you not let yourself get robbed? Own some gold and silver. It's not going to go down the way the dollar does over the years. That's going to be your cash savings that doesn't lose value. So I get fired up about that. Just like you guys get fired up about real estate. I get fired up about, hey, let's fight back against what the government's doing and stealing our wealth from us. Guess what? If you have gold, they can't manipulate that. They can't control that. That's your money.
I love it. And then additionally, so you don't have any other money or I mean, maybe a little bit here and there, but you don't have much in these other avenues. And then if you are able to share, what's your portfolio of gold and silver?
So as far as the portfolio, I probably have put half my money into precious metals just because I feel safe with that. I know it's not going away or going to zero. I've had my bank account hacked before, and I'm not very good about stopping that. But having precious metals in a gun safe at home, I can keep that safe. I'm a little more capable of that. So I feel good having stuff like that. I've done some investments in currency trading and in ETFs and either going with the stock market or even trying to short the stock market. So I've basically trade ETFs in my retirement account portfolios, and then have just an equal amount in precious metals where I'm like, okay, that's my hedge. I know nothing's going away with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your bank account gets hacked, let alone the bank closes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, we've seen that happen within the past recent years here. These banks just literally closing up shop,
Yep.
And accounts just going into thin air. So
yeah. So it's not a matter of like, let's take everything out and buy gold and bury it in the backyard. It's not the like full extreme, but it's still a safety net. It's like, yeah, there are issues with the world. There are banks that have closed down. Our banking system is still not stable and not fixed. and we're still printing money out of thin air. So it's like, well, yeah, let's have some amount that's a safety net that's gold and silver, because that's going to be immune to almost anything that happens in the world and go up in response. It's one of your little peace of mind assets that's easy to have.
Excellent stuff. Great stuff. All right, we're right up on 20 minutes already. Great conversation here with Michael Arries. Michael, how and where can folks contact you?
Yeah, so best way to contact me is literally just call or text me, because I like helping folks directly one-on-one, tailoring a strategy for you. So it's 970-459-4611. You can probably put that in the notes too, 970-459-4611. Just reach out to me directly and we can talk about what fits your situation, your portfolio the best. And there are strategies that we can talk about between gold and silver as well. They actually go up at a different pace. We can have more of one or the other at different times, trade one for the other, and have a really nice arbitrage trade where we compound ounces over time. So there's still a lot more to it.
Oh, here's what I was going to ask you too. What's the big next up and comer as far as precious metals?
I think next silver is going to outperform gold for a couple of years and make a much bigger move percentage wise. I think that's going to be the next big thing to have. Gold is still long-term wealth protection. It's still going to go up and do well, but we've got a big catch-up move that silver needs to make, and it tends to do that throughout time. And we're set up for another one where it's going to like pop and take off and catch up to what gold has done recently, but it'll be a huge move percentage wise as far as growth.
Gotcha. I was looking for it. So it's basically coming down to gold and silver doing this. I was almost interested in some lesser known precious metal that may be being used for some new technology that's getting ready to take off that nobody really has even heard of. Is that a thing?
That's not really a thing, Pete. I wish it was. So gold and silver are your main precious metals. They're the monetary metals. There's also platinum and palladium, which are mostly industrial metals, but have a little bit of a precious metals component. And really anything else is just going to be an industrial metal. So platinum might make a big move here at some point, depending on what happens with the car industry. But I think it's really just comes down to gold and silver, and those being your inflation hedge.
No Dogecoin of precious metals here, Pete, unfortunately.
Okay. That's what I was
No, there isn't anything crazy out there that's the, money or the precious metal kind of thing. There's rare earth commodities like the China mines that, people try to invest in through ETFs. But as far as you holding something yourself, it's just what it's always been, gold and silver.
Excellent stuff. JP, final thoughts?
No, I mean, very, very, very intriguing stuff here today. Like I said, this is a whole new ball game for me. So getting even just to learn a little bit about it has me intrigued. So no, I appreciate you coming on Mike, and sharing a little bit about what this world of investing is like. Because again, like you said, we're focused on real estate a lot of the times, and opening up different avenues is certainly important as well. So thank you for sharing with us and our viewers as well.
Well, thank you so much for having me on, guys, and talking about this topic and doing something a little different. So I appreciate it. And you guys are awesome.
Yep. Thank you, Michael Arries, McElvaney.com. Check him out. Give him a call on his direct cell. He'd be happy to help you out. And thank you for educating us today, Mike. Greatly appreciated. We will get this sucker posted and shared around. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening to the Dream Huge podcast. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share. And as always, remember the rules. Work hard, never give up, and dream huge. Let's see the guns, Mike.
All right. Dream huge. Yes.
There we go. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate you. Thank you, JP. Appreciate you. Have a good day, everybody.
Absolutely.